Hello again. I'm Susan Sharples, and I'm with my videographer, Megan Sullivan, who is the director of the Stanley County Historical Museum. We're here again to welcome you to the Stanley County Ghost Project. Any resemblance to the fabulous, well-done, classic movie Blair Witch Project is purely coincidental. Now, I must let you know that everything we tell you here is true, except of course the things that aren't. We are standing in the iconic Stanley County or Albemarle Opera House. It was built around 1900. And at that time, it was the finest in the region. People came from miles around for the shows, for the musicals, for the performances. They had both opera, they had just musical programs, they had plays, they even had silent movies. Evidence of this can be seen in the fact that there's still a crate that has stamped on it the name of the organ company that was supplied to play during the silent movies. I'm in the balcony section, and over to my left are the magnificent windows. These are stunning and look out onto the downtown Albemarle area. The Opera House is found above Starnes Jewelry Store. Starnes Jewelry Store, the Honeycutt Furniture Company and Mortuary, and Hall's Pharmacy were three of the busiest and most prosperous businesses of the time. The businesses were all built around 1900. And just as we've learned before, there were and continue to be some unusual occurrences. For years, since the closing of the Opera House, there have been interesting, as I said, occurrences, not the least of which is the fact that in the autumn, almost every year, there will be music emanating from this area. Residents of Albemarle for years have looked forward to hearing the sounds of the old ragtime music. It plays from October to March. Not always, but you may be lucky enough to hear some of the strains floating through the air. And if you are, then you'll know that this is the time of year which was a typical opera house season. Naturally, in the South, in the June, July, and August months, it was much too hot to sit cramped together in a high, air-conditioned room. So the performances were usually given during the other months of the year. There have been many things that have been noted about from the jewelry store all the way up to the Opera House. In the jewelry store, for instance, they'll say that at times all the clocks may join together and decide to set their chimes off, but it's not any particular hour, and nobody has set them. Naturally, just like in other places, pieces of jewelry, personal items will get moved, only to be discovered in some far recess of the building. But they're always there. So whatever spirit it is not a malevolent one, but a kindly one. So many of these instances have happened that a paranormal psychology group, paranormal study group, was called in to investigate. They set up their lights and their cameras in the building. They found readings on different stories, first story, second story. But oddly enough, when they came up to the Opera House, the top floor, every time they came up and tried to do a setup with their cameras loaded, with their flashes ready, suddenly the cameras would be turned off and the batteries would be drained. So they were left with nothing. They did find evidence at times, or hear, a couple of them did, voices that said hello. They don't know whether these are voices from misplaced actors who wish they could come back and perform once again on this beautiful stage, or if these are spirits from a darker past.